So need was to quickly provide an approach so that you can connect to database. Sun Microsystem approached Microsoft because Microsoft was having ODBC, right? Using which they used to connect to any database. Now, Sun Microsystem requested Microsoft, Microsoft refused, but it was an immediate need. So Sun Microsystem that what they came up with something called as JDBC ODBC bridge. Now this particular driver used ODBC internally in order to connect to database, right? Now if you see, ODBC code was not available for Sun Microsystem, but still by seeing externals, they made ODBC work for Java code through this bridge, and this way they actually entered database application development area, right? And this was called as driver 1. You can say, people will say driver type 1 or type 1 driver. So that driver is what is called as JDBC ODBC bridge. But if you see, problem with this driver was client must be configured. You have to go and you have to configure ODBC client. That was first problem which was there with this driver. Second, non-Microsoft operating system. There was, you say, ODBC was not available for non-Microsoft operating system. So they have to buy plugin from Microsoft. These two problems were stopping again people to use JDBC ODBC bridge, right? Because client must be configured, and in case if client is running on some other operating system, again a problem. So in order to avoid this, Sun Microsystem never stopped doing research. They kept on doing research, and as a result of which they quickly released driver type 2. So you can say, we can call it as type 2 driver, right? Also called as native driver. Now in this scenario, now there was no need of ODBC configuration. This is what is first thing. Second, since we don't need ODBC configuration, it became client independent. But one problem was there, that was native. For different operating system, you will have different code. Right? Now this made driver type 2 platform dependent, and Microsoft challenged. They said that, see, your type 2 driver is platform dependent because you are executing native code. So how can you say that Java is platform independent? Sun Microsystem took it in positive way, and they released type 3 driver. Now in this type 3 driver, they said, fine, client need to do nothing. In other words, there will be no code execution on client or on, you say, on the service layer. There will be a middleware which will take responsibility of translating all Java calls into native DB call. So this made actually type 3 driver independent. It means now no native code will be executed on the client, it will be executed in the middleware. This middleware will take responsibility of translating all Java calls into native DB calls. But again, problem here. What problem? Problem of extra layer, so extra maintenance. Extra layers extra maintenance. And you know, speed will also go down or performance will also get hit because probably it will be there on some other system, right? So Java or Sun Microsystem thought it's too much. Let's talk to database vendors and ask them to write database code in Java itself. In other words, they requested almost all database vendors that why you people don't write some part of code which can get executed in your environment in Java itself. So they propose that we are providing JDBC specification, and they requested DB vendors to implement this spec in Java. And this is the reason why you will see that almost all databases now comes with an inbuilt JRE, because they have to execute some Java code. Oracle agreed, IBM agreed because IBM was dependent on Java. So DB2, Oracle, MySQL, Informix, almost all popular databases agreed and they wrote JDBC driver in their language. And this actually gave birth to something called as Type 4 driver, also called as thin driver. Why we call it as thin driver? Because 100% Java code execution. Okay. And it is implemented by whom? Implemented by vendors, right? So this actually gave way to Java to enter into database or persistence logic implementation. Is it clear? Fine. Now let's see, what do we need to connect to database? See, there are two different ways, or there are two different approaches. First, driver manager. Now we are talking about JDBC. Now this driver manager approach of getting a connection is no connection pool benefits. That means it will not have a, you will not have a pool of connections. If you don't have pool of connections, you cannot share connections, right? And database is a shared resource, so we don't know, probably one application may go and consume all database connections. In order to shut out and distribute connections properly among all different applications, you have second approach, that is data source. Provides connection pool benefits, but you need someone who can take responsibility of managing those connections in the pool. So we need what? Data source providers, which can be your app servers like JBoss or WebLogic or many of this, right? Apart from that, you do have open source lightweight DBC providers, right? DBC, when I say database connection pool providers, right? So these two approach you have. You have to decide whether you will go with first one or you will go with second one, right? Prominently in case of enterprise application, people go with data sources because they have to use connections from a pre-dedicated pool of connections, which is binded to their application or which is meant for their application, right? Fine. So this is second important aspect that you need to understand. Third, how to connect now. See, in order to connect to database, you need to have following information, right? In Java, can you explain point driver manager and data source one more time? See, when we talk about databases, no, databases will have predefined number of concurrent connections, right? If Oracle is there, Oracle administrator will decide how many users at the same time can connect, right? Now what happens if 10 or 15 different applications are connecting, they all will ask for a connection object, right? Now driver manager is direct talk to database to get the connection. Data source is an approach where you have someone called as connection pool manager who maintains a pool of connection, right? So if we are using data source, it means we are working with managed connection pool. If we are using driver manager, it means we are directly asking connection from database. This is what is basic difference. As of now, you just understand that, right? Fine. How to connect? What info we need to connect? Very simple. In order to connect to anything, you need to have a URL or a connection string, right? Whether it is server on which is running on something, or it is server which is running on something or for something else. In order to connect to web server, you need to have a protocol called as HTTP, right? In order to connect to any system, you see, you need to adopt or you need to have a protocol, right? Similarly, in order to connect to database using JDBC also, you need to have protocol. That's what you need to understand. Now, what protocol we need to have? There is a protocol called as, there is a protocol in Java which is used in order to connect to JDBC, and that protocol is JDBC itself. So basically, connection string is composed of protocol and several other info that we need in order to connect to database. Let me write here what is that. Main protocol. Then you have sub protocol. Now please understand, this main protocol will always be JDBC, and this sub protocol will heavily depend on database that you are using. For example, for Oracle it will be different, for MySQL it will be different, for MS SQL Server it will be different. So for different database servers, you will have different implementations, different sub protocols, right? Fine. Now you see what we need to have as sub protocol if it is MySQL. Very simple. Database name is MySQL, followed by IP, where actually it is installed, because database server may be there on other machine, followed by port slash what is name of the schema, right? So this is what we need in order to connect to MySQL. It's clear? So main protocol and sub protocol. For Oracle it will be different. Fine, so what we will do now, on basis of this understanding, let's go and now configure our database explorer. So we'll go and configure. Now time has come. I'll go to window and we'll go and show you data source explorer is already added. Now let's go and start. We need to connect to MySQL. So I'll select here MySQL. New MySQL, let it be there. Next. Now you see driver. It is asking us which driver. Driver type 1, type 2, type 3, type 4. Which one you want? We will go with type 4 because MySQL has provided us with type 4. Right? So we'll go and click on this plus. Select here MySQL JDBC driver 5.1 is what is our recent database. That is saying that I am not able to locate the jar file. Now what is this jar file? This contains implementation of your JDBC type 4, right? So we need to ensure that this this jar file which is provided to us by vendors is added. So once you install your MySQL, you might have already added Java connectors like I have added. So I'll go and I'll just select this, remove, because this is not at the right path. I'll add MySQL jar. I will go to add, and if you see, I'll just write here in search MySQL connector. It is searching. All this is implementation. We need just the jar file. So I know that where it is. I'll just go and I have kept it in shared one. See, this is what is MySQL connector. Similarly, you have to locate this file, click on open, and you see that error goes off. So I am specifying here the jar file which contains implementation. Now I'll go to properties. Now you see connection. This is what is important one. It is provided by installation if you have selected while installation. Else what you can do, you can directly download this connector.jar also. Okay, if you want, if you don't have, I'll mail you. Now you see here, this is the part. Localhost 3306 is the default port. Database. My database is test. Now database name I'll write as MySQL. Driver name is com.mysql.jdbc.driver. This is the class who will listen to all requests that will be made for execution of queries, and then user ID and password. Password I will write as root. In my case, I don't have any password. While installation, if you have given some user ID and password, please ensure that you are using the same one. Click on OK, and you see, I'll just go and click on test connection. See, ping succeeded. It means now I'm able to talk to the database from here. This is what is most important part. Main protocol is JDBC, sub protocol is MySQL, localhost 3306 / name of the database schema. Click on finish, and you'll find your MySQL added here. Right, you have schema, and these are the tables which are there. See, all these are tables. If you want to create, you can create. Otherwise, you can go and you can use one of them in order to do your DB activity. Right, columns. I have these two, and it will be doing DB activities in this particular table. Otherwise, you can create table from here also. From where you have something called a scrapbook here. You see, I have a scrapbook which I can use to write create table. Let me give name to the table. Cast _ batch 6. I'll write here some column name. Let me say cust ID. I'll take integer. I'll make it primary key. Then I'll take cust name. I'll varchar. I'll make it 30 here. It's done. I'll just select it and I'll execute it. See, right click, execute selected text. So everything you can do from here. If failure, it tells you why it failed. You have an error. You can just go and maximize. We have not terminated it with semicolon. Wait, we don't use curly braces, we use these brackets. Okay. So cust ID integer and then varchar this. This is what is the correct way of creating table. Just go here, right click, execute selected text. If there will be no problem in your query, it will execute. And if you see now, successful. Create table is successful. It is created successfully. This is how you can use this scrapbook in order to write your queries. So if you see, Eclipse provides you everything. You can integrate it with any environment that you want. It's fine. So till here it's clear, right? How to connect to database, and we have connected to database in order to ensure that our ID comes in. Your database client is your Eclipse itself. Fine. Now we are going to plan writing our code, exploring APIs that helps us to connect to database and write programs there. Fine. So let me do our planning first. I'll have here new class, and let me write here customer DAO, data access object. Why I'm creating DAO? Because I want to write all persistence logic in customer DAO. Click on finish. Now next, I'll just go and add some methods here. Public void add customer, right? And here I will pass my Pojo customer C, which I have not yet created. Will create it. I'll just go and create. Right. In this we will add customer ID and customer name. Let's go here, right? Int. I'm just following the pattern which we use. So this is what is our Pojo. We can call it as our entity Pojo also. Generating setter and getter method, which we have been doing till now, so I need not explain. You can add constructor also. Okay. You can add constructor which helps you to create. This is our default constructor, and now we are going to add constructor with argument also. So Pojo is also ready. Customer DAO is what we need to write, and this place will have logic for connecting to database and doing all stuff. Now connecting to database is a common activity. So why can't we keep it separate? So I'm going here to new. Let me create a package here. Say com.db utility. Right. You remember we have read from properties file, right? Dot properties file. Your exercise will start from there only. I am just writing here a class, say DB connection. Click on finish, and this is going to provide us connection instance. I am writing here a method public connection. See, get me connection. Right. Here I will write logic that will return connection. Right. Fine. So we'll start. Step 1. Decide whether you want data source or you want driver manager. Now let's go with driver manager first. Load the driver. Be careful. Now before we load the driver, we need to have the jar file in our project also. I'll go here, Java build path, libraries, add external jar, and I'll add this jar file. Right. Now we need to load the driver. In order to load driver, we'll use what? Class dot or name. Please remember we have discussed this method. This helps us to load the driver. And you know it can generate some check exception. Surround with try catch. Whatever you write here. I'm leaving fill in the blanks which I will do later. Now this is what is step 1. Step 2. Request your driver manager to give you the connection object. How to do that? I'm writing use driver manager for connection. That is also very, very simple. We'll write here connection con equal to driver manager dot get connection, and you have to pass here these 3 parameters. One is URL, second is username, third is password. Now you got the connection. Right, so whatever connection you have got, you can go and you can return it. Right? Declare it here. We'll add catch clause to the surrounding try. Right, now this returns you what? Connection object. Right, if no exception is generated, you can write this here, and in catch block, in case if problems are there, let it return null. Let this also return null. Right, so here I'll write sys out connected. Just to help us in testing this method, I'll click on save. Our code is ready. That provides us connection except fill in the blank. Now what should be there in fill in the blank, you see? If you have used this approach, data source exposed to connect, you'll get all in this. Go to properties. See, driver property. This is what is URL, right? Copy, paste it. You know username, root in my case. Password is nothing in my case, right? Then comes driver. Driver you can know from your database. jar file also which you have added, like here we have added MySQL. You see com.mysql.jdbc.driver, right? So for different databases, you can consult different documentation of that database. com.mysql.jdbc.driver. Right, believe me, it's done. So let's go and test it. Before we make call or write any other logic, here I'll write public void test connection. Just writing here, I'll remove it. Or in main, let's go and write it in main, different class itself. That's better. I'll save it. Objective is to test connection, because once connection we are able to get, rest of the things becomes easy. I'll just go here and write a class test DB. I'll take main in this. Click on finish. So for our sake, what we can do, we can make this method as static also, so that it can be directly called with the class name. I'll write here db connection dot get me connection. I'll save it and I'll run it. Let's go and see. Connection. It means we are getting connected. Amit, if you make it singleton, then if more than one user is trying to make call to DB connection, it should return two connection object, right? Okay, so in this case, singleton will not work. Fine, as of now, this is clear now. We are able to connect. Now let's go and complete our logic. So in order to get connected to database, we are using two classes or interfaces, connection and driver manager, right? Now once you have connection object, from here onwards, you have to plan your query, and that we are doing here. Objective of this is insert in database. Now, what are the steps? Step 1, get connection. That we will get. Step 2, prepare query. This is important one. Prepare query. Now, in order to prepare query, we need to ensure that your Java code is aware that what part of query must be submitted to database. For example, in our case, it will be insert into. Let me see the name of the table that we created as of now. We have SQL result here, or data source explorer. In this, we'll select our table. I think it's something in batch 6. See, cust underscore batch 6. Here, this table only we use into cust underscore batch 6 values, and these values will come from environment. In our case, it is coming from environment, right? Now this query need to be written and it need to be encapsulated within an interface called as prepared statement, right? So here, third interface that is coming into picture is prepared statement. Objective of prepared statement is to submit queries. Submit queries to DB. This is what is objective. Okay, how to create it? You need not worry because con is going to give you. You just take here prepared statement PSMT equal to con dot. From where you will get con? Here. DB connection dot get me connection. Right, con dot prepare statement, and this prepare statement will have your query. This query. I'll write here. These question marks are meant for values that are going to come from environment, right? Just go and this prepared statement should be ensure that it is from java.sql. Now this will generate exception. Surround with try catch. I'm not stressing on those things which we already know, like why this try catch, because it can generate checked exception. So we have already discussed on this a lot. Now our query is ready. Value need to be supplied to this question mark. These are called as bind variables. Okay, you need to externally bind. You need to externally supply value to this, and in order to do that, we have psmt dot set First one is what? Int, right? First question mark. And what is the value? C dot get customer ID. PSMT dot. Second one is set string. I'll go here and I'll take second. And here what I'll do is C dot get customer name. Right? So now we have someone who can submit this query after populating these data to database. So I'll just go and execute it. For executing it is psmt dot execute. Now you see this statement is DML statement, in the sense it is insert. So insert, update, delete. These are called as data manipulation language. If it returns a query, like if it is a query with select, it will return something that we will see later. First we are trying with add customer. Click on save. Right? And now we are ready to test. Here we need to just create an instance of customer. We need to create an instance of customer DAO, and then we need to make call to add customer, and that's what we are going to do. This testing is already done. Now we are going to test another class, that is customer DAO. So let me create customer first. Equal to new customer. I hope that we have that constructor also. I'll pass here 1 and here I'll pass Amit. Right? This is what is a customer object. Now let's create customer DAO. DAO equal to new customer DAO, and simple DAO dot add customer, pass here C. If everything goes fine, it will run. Now let's go and add a message here. This out customer added. Right? Now let's go and run it. See, connection customer added. Let's go and confirm it from our data source explorer. It should go here. 1 and Amit. This is how you will be writing your first database code. Number of interfaces and classes that we are using are only 3 as of now. If you see, one is connection, second is driver manager, and third one is prepared statement. These 3 are there which we are using. Using these 3, we are able to execute a query that inserts data in database. Now, approach will be common for update and delete also. That is what you have to implement. So I am writing here public void delete customer int customer ID. So you will be passing customer ID, and that customer ID must be deleted. Right? Public void update name. Right? Which customer? And you will pass here a string new name. I am just writing signature here. Implementation you have to do. Right? So this is something which you have to complete as an exercise. I'll share this code with you. Update or delete. This is for update. Is it clear? Fine. So if you see here, by using just 3 interfaces, we are able to insert and delete and update. Now let's go and focus on select. See, in case of select, you have to be careful because there are 2 types of queries that you can make. One is single row query, and you are just fetching one row, which is based on PK, primary key, right? So they are simple. But when we talk about multi row query, they may return more than one row, so they are definitely not based on primary key. Okay, so it can be complex. Queries can be complex, right? So depending on what type of query it is, you can go and you can plan your query. And query planning is something which is related to database. So once you know database or once you get trained in database, you will be knowing how to write a best possible query. In database, from Java perspective, if we see, we have to go and we have to execute those queries in common way, whether it is single row query or it is multi row query. Now you see how we'll do it. Prepared statement is needed because this is what is going to take responsibility of executing query. But now our queries are not DML, they are DQL, where it may return more than one row. So Java provides you an interface called as result set. This result set keeps pointers to, in database we call it as record set. So in other words, result set can be used. We use result set to navigate in record set, right? Or to pick up value from rows and columns, we use result set. Fine. Now what we are going to do, we are going to see how result set is used and how we iterate in the record set using result set. Okay. For which I am going to write a new method here, and that method is return me list of public list of all customers. Get all customers. Right. I am writing following all standard so that like whatever methods are there, they are similar to what you get as your workplace. Now next, here what I need to do, get connection like last step. How to get connection we all know, db connection dot get me connection, and that we have to keep where, in connection. Once we have connection, we need to go and get prepared statement. Prepared statement psmt equal to con dot prepare statement, and this is the place where you will be passing your query. And this time we are very clear about our query. From whatever is name of the table is batch cust underscore batch 6. That's it. This is what is our query that we want to execute. No question mark because I want all customers. Now this returns me. I need to go and execute the query. Now once you execute the query, this is not a simple query. It is going to return you a collection, a reference, right? So I'll do return result set rs equal to psmt dot c. Now this time we will not use execute update. We'll use execute query, and this returns what? Result set. This may generate an exception, right? As of now, I'm writing here return null just to make this fellow, and we have to go and we have to import java.util. This should be there in try catch. This also I'll keep inside that only, so that same catch block can handle exceptions of this also. Now this is the place where we have to build our collection, right? So see what I'm doing. I'm creating here list equal to new. You can use linked list or array list, whatever you want. Let me go with array list, and this array list will have what? Customer. Make it type safe. And the minute you specify here customer, this list cannot have any other value apart from customer. Okay, we need to build customer object, and you need to add it to this till result set is not exhausted. Okay, so once result set is created, it may have one row, it may have multiple rows. What we need to do is we need to keep on creating instances of customer for each and every row. So as of now, depends how many rows you have. Let's write a generic logic. See, rs.next, while rs.next, this helps us to move from one row to other row, right? If you see, it moves the cursor from one row to other row, right? Now initially result set is positioned before first row, so when you make call to rs.next for first time, it moves to first one. No issues. We go here, create instance. I'll create a customer object because we have to have this equal to new customer. Right, and I need to get the columns. So here I know what is the first column. rs dot get int, column index is 1. rs dot get string, because I know that my second column is string. So now customer object is created. Let's go and add list dot add c. Believe me, after execution of this loop, you will have a list ready, which will be a list of customers, right? Is it clear? What we need to return? List. This is how you will be making your code ready. Fine. Is this code clear? No, we are mixing up because we know collections, we know everything, so we are mixing up. Only extra interface that I told you here is result set, and rs points to the record set, and by using rs.next we are moving to next row, and we are doing this till all rows are not over. rs.get int first gives me the first column, rs.get string 2 gives me the second column. If it has multi columns, you can use 3, 4, 5, 6, depending on the number of columns which it has, right? Let's go and test this also now. We'll go here. We already created instance of customer dot. Let us go and create list. Sorry, we'll just go here. Take list L equal to dot get all customers, and we'll print the size. I'll save it. Let's go and run it. See, 1 number of record. Now let me go and insert something from here, from Data Source Explorer, and then run it. Right click, data, edit. Let me add here. I'll keep on adding it. And I'll save it. Right? I saved it. Let's go and run now. I've saved it. Let's go and run now. The same one, and we'll see what is the size now. 3. This is how you will be using JDBC. You can have a look over this class and ask